Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, dozens of demonstrators descend on a local library.
Protest against Drag Queen Story Hour at a Chula Vista library quickly descends into a raucous protest. That story's coming up.
Plus, a second chance, what the DA's office is doing now when it comes to clearing some criminal records. And California is combating global warming with an aggressive climate action plan. But how is San Diego doing? KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. It's Thursday, August 29th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. We begin tonight with a loud outcry outside a normally quiet place, a local library. At issue is a child's reading program and a group of drag queens. As KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us, there are two sides to this story.
That is a total lie.
In front of the Chula Vista Library on F Street Thursday afternoon, members of a group calling itself Mass Resistance gathered to protest Drag Queen Storytime, an upcoming event where a drag queen is scheduled to read stories to children.
These are not role models. They should not be reading to our children.
Arthur Shopper says Drag Queen Storytime is really an effort to indoctrinate children to accept what he called a homosexual lifestyle.
And they want to normalize this culture to children. Drag Queen Story Hour, the website itself makes it very clear. The goal is to basically indoctrinate kids to accept gender fluidity.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
But Shopper and other protesters were met with counter-protesters, like Chula Vista resident Coyote Moon.
Four lies which must be confronted.
I'm here to support the gay community, my drag queens, and to resist these hateful people that came into our town, my county, my home, where I raised my kids, took them to the library, and all because a man and drag queens want to read stories to children, and to me that's ridiculous.
What started out as a noisy protest quickly descended into something of a shouting match, and that's when the police were called. Police told me they were called because of the potential of violence. Fortunately, that didn't happen. Pastor Dennis Hodges says he showed up to protest because he believes that the idea of drag queen story time is not normal.
And I'm against anything that is not normal. And being a drag queen is not normal.
Kelly Hutton says drag queen story time is simply about promoting literacy and inclusion. And she rejects the idea that the drag queen storyteller would do anything inappropriate.
Of course they won't talk about anything adult. Of course they won't. It's a children's literacy program for every child. Every child.
Members of Mass Resistance have protested other drag queen story times in other parts of the country. They claim to have shut some of them down. Drag Queen Storytime is set to take place at the Otay Ranch Library on September 10th. John Carroll, KPBS News.
There's a new way for people with low-level criminal convictions to avoid jail time and have their records cleared. It's aimed at giving people a second chance. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman explains the new diversion program.
Instead of taking this bus into jail, District Attorney Summer Stephan wants low-level offenders on the outside, addressing the underlying cause of their crimes.
We know a lot of criminality is based on impulsive behavior.
A community justice initiative is diverting some people away from jail by having them complete a behavioral therapy class.
Over the 12 hours, they address decision-making and controlling impulse behavior.
That, combined with community service, could result in their case being dismissed. But the diversion program is only available for some nonviolent offenses.
This would be like your petty thefts, your vandalism, your driving offenses, but not driving under the influence.
The County Public Defender's Office normally opposes the district attorney, but this is something they both agree on.
Criminal Justice Initiative has proved effective in reducing recidivism, courthouse overcrowding, as well as jail overcrowding.
Over the past year, more than 500 people have entered the program, and so far, more than 200 have had their cases dismissed.
This is mostly for first-time offenders, and we know through what we did over the last year that it has created safety in the community in that only 2% have repeated any criminal behavior.
The district attorney's office says this is all about second chances. Once someone completes the program, their record is wiped clean, meaning that charge wouldn't show up during a job interview or while applying for an apartment. In downtown, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks, Matt. Crimes not eligible for the program include sex offenses, child and elder abuse, and hate crimes. Workers and union groups came together today to call for the passage of AB 5. The bill, authored by San Diego Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez, would limit when businesses and companies could classify employees as independent contractors. If passed, it would reclassify thousands of California workers, like Uber drivers and exotic dancers, as employees and not independent contractors. This would impact worker protections and benefits.
If you're a gig worker, if you're a truck driver, if you're a janitor, and you're working for the company, you're doing the basic work for that company, you are their employee, and you actually deserve everything that any of us in any other job get. The right to minimum wage, the right to overtime, the right to paid sick days, paid family leave, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation.
While workers' groups representing various industries support the bill, some healthcare professionals are concerned it could have downsides for patients. Doctors and dentists are excluded. Former Congressman Darrell Issa is considering a return to politics. According to his website, he has opened an exploratory committee to run in the 50th District. It's currently represented by embattled Republican Duncan Hunter. Issa, also a Republican, previously served in the 49th District before being replaced last year by Democrat Mike Levin. It's the first health advisory this year. The Surgeon General is sounding the alarm on increasing marijuana use in young people and pregnant women. In today's Health Minute, Meredith Wood details what you need to know.
A new warning from the nation's doctor.
I, Surgeon General Vice Admiral Jerome Adams, am emphasizing the importance of protecting our nation from the health risk of marijuana during adolescence and during pregnancy.
According to Adams, this is because of the dangers marijuana can do to a developing fetus. It can also lead to a lower birth weight. In adolescence, it can also affect the areas of the brain involved with attention, memory, decision-making, and motivation, Adams says.
No amount of marijuana use during pregnancy or adolescence is safe.
With 33 states across the country and D.C. legalizing marijuana use in some form, the Surgeon General's office wants to make it clear that doesn't mean it's now a free-for-all. The number of users are increasing. According to the Surgeon General's office, it is now the third most common use substance in adolescents behind alcohol and vaping. And according to a study published this year in the Journal of the American Medical Association, in pregnant women, marijuana use doubled between 2002 and 2017. Adams also stressed the THC in marijuana is sometimes triple what it used to be, making it more potent and more addictive.
This ain't your mother's marijuana.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
Governor Gavin Newsom is taking aim at charter school regulations. He announced a proposal to overhaul how the state handles charter schools. Under the plan, the state would no longer authorize charter schools. Instead, it would be up to school districts and county governments. It also narrows the appeal process and requires all charter school teachers be credentialed. State lawmakers still have to approve the deal. County health officials report 3 unrelated cases of tuberculosis. 2 were on board U.S. Navy ships this spring, the other at San Ysidro High School. The district is working to notify people who may have been exposed. The dates go from January 16th to May 31st. TB is generally transmitted through air or contact with an infected person. Symptoms include persistent cough, fever, night sweats, and weight loss. Greenhouse gas emissions in California are going down, and that's good news for San Diego, of course. But climate experts see some troubling trends. From our climate change desk, KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen explains these concerns.
So we just do glass in one. Okay. And cans in the other.
I'm standing with Ian Monahan at the Miramar Recycling Center. We're dumping bags of recyclables into sorting bins.
Should have brought some gloves myself.
I got some for you.
Oh, really? That would be helpful. Okay.
Monahan works for I Love a Clean San Diego. The nonprofit collected these bottles and cans at a weekend cleanup in Mission Bay. We take the bins to a scale, then staff give Monahan a receipt worth
$26.58.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Just a few months ago, the Miramar Recycling Center was on the verge of closing. China used to be a major market for America's recyclables, but last year the country started restricting the types of materials it accepts. This has been a huge blow to the operators of Miramar and to the city's climate action plan. That plan counts on keeping more waste out of landfills to reduce emissions of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. The center stayed open only because of a bailout approved by the city council in June. Now it's being subsidized by taxpayer dollars. Monahan says China's decision has disrupted the global recycling economy.
When we have disruptions like this, it really begs the question as to how are we conserving? We need to look at our behavior and what we're doing here at home to conserve and quite honestly reduce.
That's a perfect example of outside factors and market dynamics and international politics that's influencing what we're trying to do locally.
Cody Hooven is San Diego's sustainability director. It's not just Beijing that's impacting San Diego's climate goals, it's also Washington and Sacramento. As we flip through a copy of the city's climate action plan, we land on a page with some pie charts. They show more than 2/3 of the city's emissions reductions are expected to come from state and federal policies, like electric vehicle incentives or tougher fuel efficiency standards. But those things aren't a slam dunk, facing challenges from the Trump administration. Hooven says the city is watching.
When stuff like that changes, when the federal administration tries to reverse the state action and then the state files a lawsuit against the federal action, those are years processes. So we track them and we try to understand what would our position be or how we can influence them. I guess we try to cross that bridge when we come to it.
But here's a very important point about San Diego's climate action plan. The city can and will get outside help with cutting emissions. But if that outside help falls short, the city is still on the hook for cutting in half its carbon footprint. Nicole Capritz of the nonprofit Climate Action Campaign says state policies have helped with renewable energy, but they're failing to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from transportation. A report earlier this month found car travel in California is going up.
Which means that will blow the opportunity and the ability for us to reach state climate goals. So it's really going to be imperative that the mayor and the council and all local governments sort of take matters into their own hands and figure out what can they do locally and regionally to make us climate safe and climate ready.
Capritz says all the data and science is showing the climate crisis is accelerating and that the city and state need to go completely carbon neutral by 2045.
That means a really fundamental radical shift in how we do almost everything. And so we're going to want to see us taking it to that next level because, again, it's all about protecting public health, achieving clean air, and making sure we're doing right by the next generation.
Back at the Miramar Recycling Center, Ian Monahan says San Diego has promised to fight climate change, with or without help from the state or federal governments. Put simply,
we have an aggressive climate action plan. We're going to have to find a way to meet those goals.
Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
San Diego Assemblyman Todd Gloria is keeping pressure on the region's air pollution control district. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says Gloria's request for an audit has been approved.
Gloria got word this week that the state will move forward with an audit that he first requested back in July. The Assembly member wants state officials to examine the district's financial books and how the organization makes decisions about public outreach. Gloria says there are transparency issues and the region has poor air quality as a result.
It's not just my sentiment, it's the fact that we have the sixth worst air quality in the nation. Maybe that would be worse if our air pollution control district wasn't doing what it was already doing, but it certainly can be better.
Gloria's legislation to reform the district has already passed in the Assembly and is under consideration in the state Senate. He wants to expand the board to both reduce the number of county supervisors on the panel and include more representatives from cities and the community. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Thanks, Eric. Hurricane Durian is rapidly intensifying. Experts predict the storm could strengthen to a Category 4 before making landfall along Florida by Monday. Residents across the region are bracing for the worst. Nadia Romero has the latest on this developing story.
Hurricane Durian is getting stronger. After delivering a glancing blow to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, the storm is picking up energy over the Atlantic Ocean and setting its sights on the Sunshine State.
All Floridians really need to monitor Hurricane Durian.
Forecasters say Durian is difficult to predict, but models are showing today the hurricane could at least double in size before slamming into Florida by Labor Day. A state of emergency has been declared in several Florida counties where local, state, and federal officials are mobilizing resources.
We were ready in Puerto Rico, and we're very ready also in Florida.
As authorities warn residents to take precautions.
You should have 7 days of food and medicine and water as part of your plan.
Across the state, store shelves are emptying and lines at gas stations are building up as residents heed advice, stocking up before Durian arrives.
Just getting prepared before the storm comes.
The U.S. Coast Guard issued safety advisories and warned those eager to celebrate the Labor Day holiday to steer clear of the beaches.
Durian in particular looks like it's going to be a major event, more dangerous than some. And while I can appreciate there may be some desire to seek a thrill and head into the water, you really are taking your life in your hands.
In Ponce, Puerto Rico, I'm Nadia Romero reporting.
Fortunate for us, there are no threats of severe weather here in San Diego. Nothing but clear skies and sunshine for the coming days. Meteorologist Erin Calandra has our forecast.
Well, today was another beautiful day here in Southern California. Notice there's really nothing going on here on the radar. It's quiet. We are seeing the return of some monsoon moisture into the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, but we're not seeing any of that here. It's going to be quiet tonight at 69 degrees. Partly cloudy. We'll see those clouds building throughout the night. We'll notice them in the morning, but by the afternoon, we get that sunshine. Oceanside dipping down to 66 degrees tonight. Chula Vista at 68 and Borrego Springs 79 for the low. Mount Laguna sitting in those low 60s tonight. Grab that sweater if you're going to be outdoors. Tomorrow looks gorgeous. Oceanside up to 80 degrees. San Diego close to it at 79. That's slightly above average. The interior areas, they're in the 90s. El Cajon and also Ramona in those mid 90s. And Borrego Springs, well, it's hot. 112 there in the deserts. It's going to remain pleasant all weekend long for the holiday weekend. Enjoy it. We have a big ridge in the jet stream, so we will continue to have that warm flow coming in from the south, and it's going to remain just gorgeous. Look at all this sunshine each day. Could see a couple of clouds around. In fact, Monday might be a humid day for you. Temperatures will be in those low 80s all week. Inland, it's warmer. We're in the low 90s, but still pleasant with sunshine. Overnights, feeling good with our temperatures in those mid 60s. And then in the deserts, well, it's hot as usual. Through Sunday, expect to see triple digits, 112 through Saturday. Now, we do expect to see a strong storm popping up in the deserts on Monday. And temperatures will drop to 100 degrees. Tuesday, it's going to be sunnier, but there's still a chance of a storm popping up, 102 for that temperature. In the mountains, we could see a thunderstorm in spots, not as strong as the deserts, and that will be Sunday through Monday, even into Tuesday. There's a chance. Other than that, expect to see sunshine. Temperatures will drop. On Sunday, we're in the 80s, but once those storms pop up, we'll be in those upper 80s, or 70s, excuse me, as we begin the next work week. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra. Back to you.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the U.S. mainland rushes to prepare as Hurricane Durian picks up speed over the Atlantic. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Entrepreneurship is often presented as an opportunity to set your own path, but it can also include a lot of uncertainty. Young Black and in Business is a San Diego organization that is helping Black business owners navigate this process. Recently, the group held Yes Fest. Earlier this week, I spoke to the founder, Roosevelt Williams III, about the networking event and how it's connecting to success. So tell me about Yes Fest.
Yes Fest
was amazing this past Saturday. We had approximately 350 attendees. We had 30 Black-owned local businesses right here in the greater San Diego County attend. We also had 15 resource vendors that were giving away products such as backpacks to diapers, gift certificates, and it took place in City Heights this past Saturday, August 24th.
And why is an event like this important for an entrepreneur?
It's very important because as a people, we work better collectively and cohesively. It showed that we were able to dispel the myth of the crab in the bucket mentality. We turned businesses that were all about eyes into a collective, cohesive unit and became we. We believe that our network is our net worth. So it gave the opportunity for businesses to achieve success individually and also collectively.
And this was in particular for Black entrepreneurs. Why do Black entrepreneurs need to network? Would they not benefit from being part of a networking organization that was multicultural?
Well, it's in tandem. As a people, as a race, we work better collectively, just as the pyramids were built to last. So when we work together as a team effort, we achieve greater success. So it's a platform for entrepreneurs to say who they are, what they do, and how to be contacted so we can work together as a team, because as you know, together everyone achieves more.
And so what gap are you hoping to fill with Young Black and in business?
I'm glad that you asked that question, because Young Black in the business is actually repairing the breach. We have a lot of stigmas that young Black individuals are underemployed, unemployed, and unemployable. So this gives the opportunity for the working entrepreneur to be in a successful environment and to be able to share who they are, to dispel that myth that we all can be healthy, happy, and successful. So this is that incubator, that business environment, and the opportunity.
So what obstacles are out there for young entrepreneurs, maybe in the San Diego region? How difficult is it to basically get people to know about your business and to succeed?
Well, we believe, as you stated earlier, you should look before you leap. So we're providing the exposure. We're advocating the dollars to come south of the 8 and get into the inner city community so we can also share and pull our resources together. So we're sharing with businesses how to apply for EIN business numbers, the tax ID numbers, how to become official, how to get business cards, how to target your demographic, and how to plug and play resources that's right here in the community.
And I know the second annual Yes Fest, you said, was a big success, so congratulations on that.
Extravaganza.
But I know that Young Black and in business works to facilitate this network and support for entrepreneurs year-round. How do you do that?
We have quarterly networking mixers where we have a speed entrepreneur networking where you give a 30-second elevator pitch. Everyone gets a green card. If they want to hear more, they put it in the air. If they want to learn more information and get your business card, they put up a yellow so to yield, and you can see. And I'm the only one in the room that has the red card. Stop, get off the stage, sort of say. So it's a speed red light entrepreneur networking we have quarterly, and those mixers turn to a festival where we highlight the businesses that reach their benchmark, that achieve success, and that has received the next level in their business, and we'd like to highlight them.
Roosevelt Williams III, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure's all ours. Thank you.
Bring on the Bayside Concerts. Groundbreaking took place this afternoon for the new permanent venue for the San Diego Symphony. The Bayside Performance Park includes an outdoor stage overlooking the waterfront at the Embarcadero Marina Park South. The estimated cost is $45 million, all of which will be funded by private donor. The symphony itself did raise $6 million for the project. We've heard the saying, I've got your back. Well, wait until you see this next story. A bond formed in combat was on display when a Marine scaled a mountain while carrying a wounded warrior the entire way. Jeremy Roth has tonight's Take a Look at This.
A Marine in Utah showed a fellow veteran that he still has his back by carrying him to the top of a mountain on his back. John Nelson and Jonathan Blank served together in Afghanistan. That's where Blank lost his legs to an IED explosion. Blank and Nelson remain friends and still go hiking, and it was on Mount Timpanogos where Nelson wanted to show his camaraderie.
I thought this would be something epic for him to experience
Nelson carried Blank 14 miles up the mountain on his back, turning heads along the way.
That's what they're doing for recreation. Imagine those guys on the battlefield.
These brothers in arms are already planning their next adventure to climb Mount Whitney on Veterans Day. The harrowing moment a bridge collapsed in Turkey was caught on camera. It happened in the coastal city of Samsun. 2 people were pulled in along with a minibus as the bridge gave way. Thankfully, only minor injuries were reported. Officials say heavy rains in the region were to blame for the incident. All right, so the Chick-fil-A Popeyes sandwich war is getting ugly, and I'm staying out of it. You know who's not? Teenager David Ledbetter, who saw the long lines at a North Carolina Popeyes as a chance to register some prospective, albeit hungry, voters. As folks waited to order, the 17-year-old handed out pamphlets, sample ballots, and registration forms. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
If you like taking selfies and posting them, listen up. Doing so may make you less likable. That's according to a new study by psychologists at Washington State University. They found that people who posted a lot of selfies were not only less likable, but seen as less successful, more insecure, and less open to new experiences. On the other hand, people who posted pictures of themselves taken by other people were seen as having higher self-esteem, being more adventurous, and more successful. So the moral of that story is to pass over the camera. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.